Hi, and welcome to Watch It Played. My name is Rodney Smith, and in this video we're going to learn the 2 to 8 player game Citadels, designed by Bruno Feduti and published by Z-Man Games, who helped sponsor this video. Ever have a tough job interview? Well, consider this one. You've just applied for the job as the kingdom's master builder, and you and the other candidates have shown up to be interviewed by the king, who gives you a simple challenge. He just wants you to build him a city. That's right, recruit local workers and specialists and build an entire city. And if you can build the best one, you'll get the job. How hard could it be? Well, we're going to find out. So join me at the table and let's learn how to play. We're going to set up the game as they recommend for your very first play, but later you can follow the complete setup instructions here to give every game you play a unique twist. To begin, put these gold coins in the center of the play area and give each person 2. In this video, we'll assume that we have 4 players. Now give the oldest player this crown, or you can just pick someone randomly, and they're referred to as the crowned player. Next, find all the cards with this back, known as the characters. Characters are numbered from 1 to 9 in their top left corner, and each value will have multiple copies. Although their numbers may match, characters that share the same value will have different names, artwork, and abilities which are shown at the bottom. Using this chart found in the rulebook, find the specific characters listed in this section from each of the values. Though I should mention, if you have 3 or 8 players, the rules will tell you to add one of the value 9 characters as well. But in this 4-player game, we're all set with these and can return all the rest of the characters back to the box. Now go through all of these smaller character reminder cards and find the ones matching the names and pictures of the characters we just put in the character deck, returning any others back to the box. The larger character cards that we kept are now given as a face-down deck to the crowned player, who again is the person with this piece. The reminders are then set in a row in the middle of the play area. And next you'll find all the cards with this back, known as the districts. From these, collect all of the ones that show these 4 symbols in their bottom left-hand corner. We'll put them to the side for now, but we'll be using them in a moment. You'll also find a variety of districts with this symbol in their bottom left corner. Each of these are unique and are known as the unique districts. From them, find the ones with the same matching names at their bottom as the ones shown in this table found at the start of the rulebook. Once you have all 14, return the rest of the unique districts back to the box. They won't be used in this game. Now combine all the districts you collected and shuffle them into a face-down pile that you'll set in the middle of the play area. Each player is now dealt 4 cards from the district deck, which they can examine, but must keep a secret from the other players. And that's the setup. The rules I'm about to teach will cover games with 4 to 8 players, but after, you can check your rulebook for the few adjustments you'll make if you have only 2 or 3 players. In Citadels, you and the other players will be picking characters to use each round for their special abilities, while attempting to gain gold and construct a city from district cards. Once a player has 7 districts, the game will end, and players will score points for the city they've built. The player with the most points wins. The game is played over a series of rounds, and each round is broken into 2 phases, starting with the selection phase. Here, the crowned player, again, that's the person with the crown piece, will take and shuffle the deck of character cards, discarding 1 face down and a certain number of them face up based on the number of players you have in your game, using this chart from the rulebook. So in our 4-player game, they would put 2 face up in the center of the play area. Now just note, the character showing a 4 cannot be among the face-up characters. So if it's revealed, discard another one to replace it, and then shuffle the value 4 character back into the deck. In the case of a 4-player game, the crowned player will have 5 cards left in the character deck, and they now secretly examine them, privately picking 1 to keep, passing the rest to the person on their left, who examines the remaining characters, picks 1 to keep, and passes the rest. And around the table you'll go like this until each person has selected 1 character, leaving 1 left unchosen, which is then set face down beside the other characters that were discarded at the start by the crowned player. That said, there's a special rule if you have 7 players. In that case, when it gets to the 6th player, they'll end up passing just 1 card to the 7th player. Now that 7th player picks up the card that was discarded face down at the end of the round and chooses from between those 2 characters, discarding the other one face down. That ends the selection phase, and now it's time for the turn phase. Here, turns are taken in ascending order based on the rank of each of the characters the players selected. A character's rank is shown in its top left-hand corner, but players should keep their rank and their character card a secret for now. Instead, the crowned player will call out each possible rank, starting with 1 and working their way up. And if any player hears their rank called out, they stop the count and then they take a turn. So as an example, after the crowned player calls out rank 1, let's say no one speaks up because no one chose the rank 1 character. Then the crowned player would call out 2, and I'm holding the rank 2 character, so now I reveal it and I would take my turn. Now we'll see how you take a player turn in a moment, but after a turn is over, the next value is called out, and you keep going like this until every player has taken a turn. Now when a player is taking their turn, they must gather resources, and this can be done in one of 2 possible ways. The game comes with player aids that each person can have that will remind you of your options here. So let's go through each of them now. One option is to take 2 gold from the bank and add them to your personal supply. Or you can instead choose to draw 2 cards from the district deck, picking one of them to add to your hand and returning the other face down to the bottom of the deck. There is no limit to the amount of gold or cards a player can have, and if the bank ever runs out of gold, just use a suitable replacement. Also, the amount of gold and cards in a player's hand is considered open information. They can't hide those details. After gathering resources, as it says here, you may then build 1 district from any you have in your hand if you want. To do this, play the card face up in front of you and pay the cost in gold shown in this corner, returning it back to the general supply. The districts that are face up in front of you make up your city, and at most, you may only build 1 district per turn, and may not build a district if you have one already in your city with the exact same name. Districts you build come in 5 main types, which are identified by their symbols in this corner. These represent noble, religious, trade, military, and unique districts. Each of the unique districts has a unique effect printed on it, which provides you with the benefit once it's face up in your city. And their effects are always optional unless they include the word must or cannot in their description. We're not going to go over all the various effects you might find on the districts because how they work is described directly on them, including when their effects can be resolved. That said, you'll find some additional details about some of them here towards the back of the rulebook if you have any questions. During your turn, you will also have revealed your character, which will have a special ability that you may use at most once anytime during your turn, unless its ability says otherwise. So I could, for example, even use my character ability before I gather resources on my turn. But now let's take a moment and go through each of the character abilities, as these are a big part of the game. With this ability, you call the name of another character that you wish to kill. When that chosen character's rank is called out, if someone does have that character, they must not give any reaction and instead stay silent, skipping their entire turn without revealing their character. The thief's ability is that they call out the name of a character they wish to rob. And if that target is revealed later in the turn by another player, that targeted player loses all of their gold to the thief. You cannot, however, rob from a rank 1 character, a killed character, or a bewitched character. Now, none of the characters that we have here in this setup are able to bewitch other characters, but you'll find those abilities available on other characters in later setups. The magician gets a choice. They can swap their entire hand of district cards with another player, even if they themselves have no cards, meaning they just take their opponent's hand for themselves. Or they can discard any number of their cards to the bottom of the district deck and draw an equal number of new ones. This king character has 2 effects. At some point during their turn, they must take the crown, becoming the crowned player, which still happens even if they are bewitched. Once they have the crown, they'll then call out the character ranks for the rest of this round. Let's say our king character is here. Now, if the king character is picked to be killed, let's say by the assassin when they're being revealed, then the king's turn is silently skipped just as we described before. They'll pretend they don't have the king, nothing will happen when that number is called out. But at the end of the round, they will then reveal that they had the king and they will take the crown. So the king's turn was still skipped because they were assassinated, but they've claimed the crown. It's as if the crown's been passed on to their heir. The king player also gains 1 gold for each district they have showing the noble symbol. So in this case, they'd gain 2 gold. With the bishop, the rank 8 character that we'll see later cannot use its ability on your districts, unless you're killed, and then they can. The bishop also gains 1 gold for each district showing the religious symbol, so here they'd gain 3 gold. The merchant gains 1 gold no matter what, and then gains 1 more gold for each district showing the trade symbol, so here they'd gain a total of 3 gold. The architect gains 2 extra cards no matter what resources they collected this turn, and may also build up to 3 districts this turn instead of the usual 1. Finally, we have the Warlord. They pick 1 district in any player's city, which could include their own, and destroy it by paying 1 fewer gold than its usual cost to build. So to destroy this manor would cost them 2 gold. However, you cannot destroy a district of a player who has 7 or more districts. This is known as having a completed city. When a district is destroyed, though, you put it face down at the bottom of the deck. The Warlord also gains 1 gold for each district they have showing this military symbol. And those are just some of the characters included in the game. Remember, there are other versions of each rank, so when you play, you can mix and match different versions to have a different experience. If you ever have any questions about the characters we just looked at or any of the others, you'll find instructions about how their effects work detailed here in the rulebook. As mentioned, once a player has finished resolving their turn, the crowned player calls out the next rank, and ranks will be called and resolved until every player has gone. Then the round comes to an end, and a new one begins with the crowned player gathering up all of the character cards, including all of the ones that were discarded at the beginning. And then a new selection phase is started. And rounds will continue like this until a player has managed to build 7 or more districts in their city. The game concludes at the end of that round, and I should mention, a player is allowed to build more than 7 districts in their city, but as soon as at least 7 have been built, the game will end after that round, where it will then be time for players to calculate their final scores. If you were the first player to complete your city by building at least 7 districts, you earn 4 points. Any other player who also managed to build at least 7 districts earns 2 points. Then each player scores points equal to the gold cost of each building in their district. And any player with at least 1 district of each type scores 3 points. Finally, players also score points for any unique buildings that say they earned them points at the end of the game. The player with the most points wins. In the case of a tie, the tied player who revealed the highest ranked card in the final round wins. There are slightly modified rules for 2 and 3 player games, and those are detailed here, which I'll leave for you to discover on your own, along with the rules for customizing your own setups for future games where you want different characters and unique districts. But otherwise, that's everything you need to know to play Citadels. If you have any questions at all about anything you saw here, feel free to put them in the comments below, and I'll gladly answer them as soon as I get a chance. You'll also find forums for discussion, pictures, other videos, and lots more over on the games page at Board Game Geek, and I'll put a link to that in the description below. And if you found this video helpful, please consider giving it a like, subscribing, and clicking that little bell icon so you get notification anytime we post a new video. And if you'd like to support us directly, you can join our Patreon team, which I'll have linked below. But until next time, thanks for watching.